What's going on YouTube? It's Mike here. Today guys, this video we're going to be talking about iOS 7. It's kind of interesting that I touch on the topic of iOS 7. It's been something that I've been completely silent about for several months because pretty much my opinion has been unsure. Now there have been a lot of rumors that have been circling around over the last few weeks of what iOS 7 is going to be, and in this video today I really wanted to talk about it, my thoughts, all the rumors, all the ideas of what iOS 7 is going to be, because quite honestly we're less than 2 months away from the release. Now, of course, iOS 7 is what Apple's supposedly going to call it. You know, they could just come up with something else, but it's going to be the 7th major release of iOS, which is the mobile operating system for iPhones, iPads, and iPod Touches, and it's been that way since 2007. Now, one of the main new things that has been rumored that Apple's going to do with iOS 7 is a completely new flat design. Now, this is taking from all of the way of these skeuomorphic, I think that's how you say it. It's a really weird long word, but it's what makes some of the apps like Clock and Newsstand and Notes, it makes them look real. And if you know what I mean by real, that Notes actually looks like you're taking down an actual note. You know, there's the marker felt and there's the torn notebook page. Or in Find My Friends, you know how it's like kind of a passport kind of look. Same thing with Passbook. It's made to look real, and that word is like skeuomorphic or something like that. I looked it up a couple weeks ago. Now with iOS 7, with this new flat design, that's all going to be changed. Think of something like Windows, for example. It's going to be flat out. It's not going to be any of these reality type of programs that Apple's been giving us for years, which we thought, you know, 5 years ago was cool. It's kind of old now, and it's been sticking with a lot of the stock apps that Apple has. As you can see from this photo concept here, Notes compared to what we had for the last 5 years, up to a possible iOS 7 concept for Notes, there is a huge difference. Now, as flat as modern as this looks, to be honest with you, this is what the consumer loves today. It's what everyone uses and what everyone's getting used to now, and people are slowly phasing out from the iPhone 5 or any Apple product, mainly, you know, the iPhone, of course, to other products like the Samsung Galaxy or the the Nokia Lumia. There's a ton of them. And so that's what Apple's main nail on the head. They kind of have to smack down a lot. They really got to flatten this thing out. There are tons of concepts just going around like crazy right now about this flat design. You know, there could be so many possible outcomes from it that could make programs better, and by that I don't just mean looking better, I mean working and doing things better. For example, Game Center. I mean, who uses that? As you can see from these photo concepts here, from the old one to the new one, you can see that there's a big difference. It would work and look a lot better as well. Now, with flat design, we're going to need to make some changes at Apple themselves since, well, they've been doing it for the last 5 years and no one's really woken up. Well, the guy behind the iOS who's been working this all is a guy named Scott Forstall. Now, he's been at Apple for several years, and he is finally ready to, well, hit the road. That means that he is on his way out. I think he stated something about how by next year he's not going to be at Apple anymore. Something about leaving. It's beyond me. But, you know, he's sort of the reason, you know, why iOS is what it is today. You know, if it led to Apple Maps or the crash that you guys hated, because what was iOS 6? I mean, come on, we got Passbook for no reason, and we lost YouTube and good Google Maps. I mean, that kind of sucks. So that was kind of a smack in the face, and that may not be the reason though, but he's just out. So the way that it's looking is Jony, the current head designer at Apple, are on the top of the design team. I don't know really how to word it. Is going to take over this, and his idea of what's being rumored is iOS 7. His sort of idea is this flat concept of iOS 7. So everyone's having high hopes that Mr. I really comes in strong here and develops an awesome iOS for us in the summer. Now, of course, you should take all these rumors with a grain of salt. I mean, what are the chances from a guy from the design team moving to iOS? You know, he could stay on both. I don't see why Apple wouldn't make the exception, because truly, he is a very cool guy. I especially love the way that he looks at things. You know, I've seen tons of interviews of him. You know, every time I see what he's talking about, and his idea and perspective of the products that Apple makes. And honestly, he really does a good job. So I can really see him doing something brand new, awesome, and different with iOS, since he's been doing different, new, and innovative designs with iPads and iPhones and iMacs and you name it. I mean, that's what really makes up the products today. While we have awesome hardware, we need awesome software too. We kind of need something that's different from the OS on these mobile devices that we've had for the last 5 years. Now, with iOS 7 on its way, we're pretty close to it. And by close to it, I mean less than 2 months away. WWDC, which is Worldwide Developers Conference, is just going to be in the first week of June, I'm pretty sure. So that goes a whole week. If you guys don't know what WWDC is, for the last 2 years, I've been doing coverage on it. It's pretty much an event that Apple has every summer. And they either announce a new iPhone or some updates to Mac OS X and iOS as well. And for the last couple of years, they've just been doing Mac OS X and iOS. They've kind of put the iPhones to the later part of the year. That's what I'm assuming is going to happen, unless Apple just turns around with a surprise iPhone 5S. Who knows? It's beyond me. But we'll probably be seeing some updates to OS X as well. I'll save that for another video because we don't know too much about that. Mountain Lion is still being updated today, which came out last July, but was announced for initial release in June. Or it was announced in June that it was going to be released in July, something like that. But they're also one of the main topics at WWDC 2013 in June. Is going to be iOS 7 as well. And since we've never heard any details on iOS 7 before, and the new iOS is only the major software updates to iOS, the .0s, so 5.0, 6.0, 4.0, 3.0, 2.0, 1.0, all of those are announced at WWDC, and it's been that way for quite a number of years. So you guys don't have to wait out too much longer for this flat concept and design. What they're probably going to do is they're going to have iOS 7, the first beta version, released in June, and then up until about fall when they're ready to announce the newest iPhone, unless they do something in June with the iPhone. But the way it's worked is they'll probably release it in fall of 2013 with a new iPhone, Who knows what will lead to that. So my expectations are pretty clear, like I made them in this video. Apple's got to make some change. They're getting rid of one guy and getting another really cool guy that's been with Apple for years to begin with and has been designing some great products to now take part of the mobile operating system, which could possibly be a fantastic income. With these mock-ups that people have been coming out with and how awesome they just are, and the way we predicted the iPhone 5 perfectly months before and the iPad mini perfectly, I don't see any reason as to why iOS 7 would not look like the pictures, or somewhat similar, as I showed you before. And so I think it could really work out great. I don't see why we wouldn't see it toward the middle of this year. So that's pretty much it, guys. That is my take on iOS 7 and pretty much more of the details about it. Later on in this year, as we get closer and closer to WWDC, and the final announcement, I'm sure a lot more stuff will be leaked. And then probably at that point we'll be talking about the new iPhone. And later on we'll get to new iPads and stuff like that, unless Apple pulls a quick move during the summer with iPads, or they'll probably touch a little bit on Macs too, but we'll all save that stuff for another video. I'll do like my WWDC 2013 predictions, so stay tuned for that video. If you guys like this one, please leave some comments below on your thoughts. Of course, rate, give this video a thumbs up, and click the subscribe button below. That's it for this video, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Peace. Emojistickers.com, people.